A robe? Is that a robe with a hood?
It is.
I have not seen that before.
She is
That's
full-fledged
wild.
Sith.
Who's do the whole episode like this? Alter my voice to a lower register and completely fuck it up so that way I cannot even do my own show. What are you doing in a renegade shirt? Wrong show.
Oh, that's right. Hold on.
Are we live on Twitch yet?
We are live. I just put it live.
Oh, shit. Oh, okay.
Okay. Give it a couple minutes before we start.
Love it.
Well, I'm wearing a dark side shirt, so. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Star Wars with Revan. There we go.
So Survivor, is that like Fallen Order 2 or whatever?
Yeah, it's the sequel to Fallen Order.
Oh, I'm so happy. I
From
want more Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis, and then it looks like the Grand Inquisitor? From what I've seen in the teaser. So, but I have no idea who was in that, like,
I
back
mean,
to
like,
tank.
I don't say anything.
It's also not till 2023, so there's that, which kind of sucks.
I feel like they're gonna put Cal Kestis and Obi-Wan, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, don't say anything. I'll find out after the show.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Just to say,
if they don't,
didn't they do the BD1? Like they did BD1 and Boba Fett, right? So
yeah, well, it's a BD unit. Well, not BD1 per se.
I feel like
it had the same paint. Ben,
I was like,
true. That's true.
You're gonna do a BD unit that I'm pretty sure we haven't seen before in a noticeable spotlight. It's probably for a reason.
So, funny enough, watching they did the Lego Star Wars panel today, and they announced 2 new Lego sets. One of being from the Andor series, and the other one actually being a size, like, I don't know, maybe 10th size or 1/12 size BD1 Lego set that you can fully build and everything.
I like that.
It's like, oh, we had this, and you see the BD unit in Mandalorian, so we did this in the Lego set to, like, push it forward. And it's like,
Sure.
Just coincidentally lined up.
I mean, I'm actually, like, getting my wife to watch things, so we're doing the Clone Wars now. So, and she asked me the other day, she was like, do I like this just because you like it, or do I like it or do I actually like it? And I was like, I don't know, but you like it, and that's what matters.
Exactly.
Which I did force, like, well, that was the first thing I did whenever we started dating. And she was like, I've never seen Star Wars before. And I was like, well, that's a problem that needs to be fixed now.
Yeah.
I convinced Sheik to watch one arc of Dragon Ball with me. That's all she has to commit to. And I think she likes it just because I like it.
I like this song.
Wait, are you watching Original Z or are you watching Kai?
Original Z.
Okay.
I don't have access to Kai because Funimation has it on their app, but there's no episodes.
Oh, they are transitioning finally into Crunchyroll, so it's like a slow transition. But anyway, you ready to start?
Yeah.
Is that a question directed just to Teacup or like all of us? Also, I just noticed Jin.
Yeah,
So-
I
know.
noticed that
Just
too. I cannot with that right now.
It's like,
Wait a minute.
I don't know. I'm just messing with filters right now. I don't play around on Zoom all that often.
fair.
I did, however, like this one.
Ooh.
I feel like it really accentuates the cat hair, though.
Oh.
All right.
Jen actually kind of looks like a handmaiden, like one of Padme's handmaidens.
Oh,
more than a Sith.
that is true, actually.
Cool. Well,
They're cool.
There
though.
you go. Now she's a Sith.
well, we have to do that. All right, here we go. We're good.
All right. And let's start.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
Hello and welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast, where we talk about all things Star Wars canon versus legends. I am Teacup, one of your hosts, and I'm here with my other host.
Ben of Temeria.
So Ben, this is a special episode. We have some guests here with us.
We do. We have our two patrons that we have joining us today, and we shall introduce them. We have Genesith, or Genesith. As she's in the Discord.
Genesith sounds like trying to say Genesis, but you have a speech impediment.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Genesis.
Yeah.
So, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Like, the weather has got me a little down today, but like on my drive home, I was like, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous. And I just like the whole good, bubbly feeling that comes with that. I embrace my emotions and let them flow.
As a truth Sith would say. And then we also have Toasty, or known as Darth Toasty on our Discord now. At least in our Discord, not the Robots Radio Discord.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Oh, God.
You have to have a different name for each podcast you go on. So like you need a Witcher.
Well, his
name
Witcher
for
name
it.
isn't it Toast?
It's Toasty of Toasterton Villopolis. So
Yeah.
Oh man.
yeah.
It's a mouthful.
And then on Genesis is I'm Beastie or Beast Mode. So there you go.
Awesome. So we are talking about fan theories. At least that's what Toasty and Genesith. God, now I cannot say it.
Just leave it. It's fine.
I know.
It's fine.
But we are going over fan theories today for this special episode. So what fan theories have you guys brought? I know one. At least from Toasty, I know one of them.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the big one that we brought. We actually did some pretty detailed investigation, and I have like 2 pages of show notes.
Oh my God.
When your
What?
patrons are also podcast hosts.
Right. Yeah, right.
I would just like to say, in true Sith fashion, what she means is that she did detailed research and I forgot to do it. But we can just say that my apprentice did all the work, because that's usually what happens, right?
Oh, she's the apprentice? Oh.
And she so much as said so the other day, so I'm just saying.
I mean, he is the Darth, and I am just the Sith, so that would correlate. But I'm not calling you Master.
Well, you don't have to. That's weird. We're progressive Sith. We don't use terminology like that anymore.
Okay.
It's good to know that the Sith have gone for some like reforms and updated their language.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. At least this faction of the Sith has.
I mean, the one that we did the most research on, I think, is one of those like really off the wall fan theories, but that has so much detail to it that it could be plausible. And that is the tale of Darth Jar Jar.
The ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah. It's funny though with this one. There's so much. You mean you could put it in quote unquote evidence that it is very plausible.
Mm-hmm.
Because we also don't know what happened to Jar Jar after Revenge of the Sith. Do we?
We do.
We do? Oh, what the heck? That's
I
news to me.
can't well, we can get into fan theory, and I can tell you what I believe is either legends or might still be in the canon.
Okay.
But you'll want to hear the theory first, and then I can ruin it with what actually happens.
Okay.
All right. The first thing was that his clumsiness is completely an act. And he just, like, the way that he moves around is actually very reminiscent of drunken monkey fighting style. And so when he's like acting all physically crazy, it can actually really be tracked to a legit fighting style. And because he's so weird and awkward about it, Qui-Gon immediately dismisses Jar Jar as unintelligent, and Obi-Wan calls him a pathetic life form. So the fact that he instantly comes off as non-aggressive, non-threatening, he gets put into a category that he's not even viewed that way anymore.
Yeah, and you know that kind of tracks because he also calls Anakin a pathetic life form, who also turns out to be extremely powerful and deadly.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, when we first meet Jar Jar too, like and this might be me being very forgetful. Are Gungans, can they jump pretty high, just being as their species?
Jen can correct me because the theory things, but if the theory checks out, we never see another Gungan perform acrobatics like Jar Jar does.
No, the only other time that we see it is when they're in the water and they're doing like swimming stuff. We don't actually see them being able to do that stuff on land. And obviously you can be way more acrobatic underwater than you can on land.
Okay. That's what I thought.
So this has been seen as a hint that Jar Jar is force sensitive, yet he hides his abilities unless called upon. And that's why he is like the same way that we see Obi-Wan and Anakin do like these awesome jump flips and then spiral in the air and then make a perfect landing. Jar Jar does the exact same thing, but people just dismiss it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been revisiting Clone Wars with my wife, who she hasn't seen it before, and it's been a while for me, so I can barely remember half of it. But I'm on season 1, and there's quite a few episodes with the Jar Jar doing stuff, and like it's pretty crazy. I mean, there's the one part where I think Anakin and Obi-Wan get kidnapped by like pirates, and when they have like Count Dooku in their possession as well, and they have to like go to rescue them or try to go to rescue them or buy them back, the clones just kind of send Jar Jar out by the tanks to like talk him down, and he ends up in his typical klutzy crazy fashion, I think disabling 2 of them plus the one he's on, and it's like, and he seems to show a lot more intelligence than they typically give him in the movies too, in like the Clone Wars. Like whenever he thinks things through, actually pretty like, it seems pretty intelligent in that aspect. They just don't show it in the movies, but It looks a lot like way different in Clone Wars. So,
I mean, we kind of see that klutziness in episode 1 when they're fighting the droid army, and like how he just, you know, took out a dozen of them just by like flailing around or like tripping. It's like, is that just coincidence and luck, or is that, you know, all an act?
And to go off of him being, you know, smarter than what people think he is, especially in the Clone Wars, the series, it's kind of believed that maybe Palpatine helped to orchestrate it all. You know, the events that led Qui-Gon discovering Anakin and Anakin eventually being corrupted and turned to the dark side were carefully orchestrated by Palpatine from the beginning. He had meticulously crafted plan that involved manipulating the entire galaxy, and nothing was left to chance. Jar Jar's integral role in Anakin's adolescence and eventual downfall may not have been coincidence. He may have started out in Palpatine's eyes and ears on Naboo, only to get close access to the Chosen One early on. From there, Palpatine might have been able to further manipulate events right down to the death of Qui-Gon. Because, I mean, if Jar Jar wasn't there whispering into little Annie's ear that, you know, it's like, oh, I think Padme likes you. You know, like he was the initiator of that.
It's also Jar Jar who tells Padme through a conversation that, you know, the Gungans won't go down fighting because we have a grand army, like to convince her to go back to Naboo. And
yeah,
and we're not forgetting Jar Jar is responsible for the creation of the clone army, or the usage of the clone army.
That is true.
He's the one who gives the speech and makes the motion to give Palpatine emergency powers.
Which is another one of the points. Toasty, you got to start reading some of this shit. Sorry.
What is the policy on?
She said Sith.
I did. I said Sith. You got to start reading some of this Sith.
Every swear, we will just add in R2-D2 screaming over it.
Oh, really? That's incredible. That's actually incredible.
No, we won't do that because Disney will probably sue us and tell us to stop. So.
Yeah, I don't want to be sued by Disney.
Just put a Wilhelm scream. It's fine. Everyone
That'll
else uses
work.
that. That's not just Star Wars. That's literally everyone.
It's all that one's free. I have it in one of our break sounds. So
yeah.
Either that or it's called post-production. Toasty, you really got to start reading some of this Sith.
Oh dear, I can't. Cool. What part of? Oh, thanks for highlighting it, Jin. That's really helpful. At the beginning of Attack of the Clones, Jar Jar is revealed to have been elected as a junior representative of Naboo in the Galactic Senate. This was a major step up from the days when he was barely clinging on to his own skin. Perhaps his involvement at the Battle of Naboo was a test.
In order to, like...
Oh, go ahead.
Further rank himself up under the eyes of Palpatine. Like, see,
Right.
I was able to work this in Naboo. And I made this part work out, so now you can trust me to be on the Senate, and I can further your goals even farther.
So, there's actually an in-canon explanation for his position. Sorry, but
All right, ruin our hopes and dreams, Teacup. Go ahead. Gosh.
So in the book Queen's Shadow, which is the first book in the Padme trilogy by E.K. Johnston, so Padme, at the end, in a conversation with Mon Mothma, it's recommended to her that she appoint a representative from the other species of Naboo to help with her workload. and representation. And so Padme basically says, I have just the Gungan in mind, meaning Jar Jar. So it is Padme who appoints Jar Jar to his ambassador role.
Okay, but Jar Jar had to be there. Palpatine put him in place to get cozy to Padme.
I've heard the theory that Palpatine is like manipulating this. I've also heard the theory that it's Jar Jar manipulating Palpatine. And Jar Jar is actually the master.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, I don't know if this is in your research, but there is a quote from George Lucas, a recording from George Lucas.
That's my final line. So let's
okay, fine.
I was like,
no, not
and
yet.
the biggest point.
Don't ruin it yet. Oh no.
No, I think
I've researched this theory a lot. But
you can put your input on it too and why it's correct. That's what really matters. No.
I think we kind of already touched on the fact that he's the one that voted to give absolute power to Chancellor Palpatine. And that could prove either way, that Jar Jar is manipulating Palpatine into place, or that Palpatine manipulated Jar Jar to get him to vote that way.
I don't know. I don't know if this is in your research, but it has to do with the fact that Jar Jar, the way Jar Jar speaks with his hands, is a point that he's using the Force to manipulate and sway the minds of the masses. Which, if he's swaying the minds of the entire Senate, that's extremely powerful for a Jedi mind trick. We've never seen a Jedi mind trick affect more than a handful of people at a time.
And I think that has to do with the Jedi do a subtle, like, manipulation, where a Sith is going to come in with brute force and strength, and so would be able to handle a lot more people. Because yes, that was the next point. He uses hand gestures when he wants to change someone's opinion, and we see it in like 4 or 5 different scenes in the second episode, number 2,
Attack of the Clones. Fun fact, that just celebrated 20 years.
Oh, that makes me feel old.
That makes all of us feel old.
I'm good.
Okay, I guess Tosi's fine.
I'm 24. I'm solid.
Oh, God.
All right, Jen, it seems like that leaves your quote thing.
Yes. The biggest point is that George Lucas once claimed that Jar Jar was his favorite Star Wars character, referring to him as key to the whole saga in a making of documentary for The Phantom Menace. While actor Ahmed Best tweeted, "It feels really good when the hidden meaning behind the work is seen, no matter how long it takes." So you combine those two things together, and it's just like, that's Jar Jar is key. And then the dude that played Jar Jar is saying that there's a hidden meaning behind his character. It has to allude to something.
Yeah, I would say so. There's just too much coincidence that all this stuff happens and lines up with Jar Jar in even surviving through all this and giving Palpatine the power and then continuing his work after that. But I mean, you know, Toasty's probably, or not Toasty, but Teacup's going to come in with all the canon explanation and shoot down what happens to Jar Jar after all this.
Teacup's gonna crush our dreams.
I actually don't think what happens to Jar Jar necessarily disproves or proves the theory. I just think that what happens to him is actually just kind of sad. If the theory is not true, it's very sad. So Palpatine basically enslaves Jar Jar to be his jester, and then when he is no longer useful to him, he casts him aside and he lives on the streets of Naboo as a beggar.
Oh, that's sad. Oh.
I like to think the fan theory because that's not as like
Wow.
crushing to like
Where's
like
that
I saw
at?
the prequels. I saw Phantom Menace when I was like 7, and so like
Yeah.
Jar Jar wasn't annoying to me because I was 7.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't really go for that either, to be fair.
Yeah. I reject your canon and replace it with my own.
As that is the most Star Wars fandom thing you can do.
That is true. Now the thing is too though, like where does that leave Jar Jar if he's not a beggar on Naboo? What happens to him? Like, because we don't see him ever again.
In canon, I think it's implied that he dies there as a beggar on Naboo, but
Boo.
in this thing, I mean, there were a lot of people floating around this theory that he goes somewhere and gets really deformed and he comes back as Snoke. Of course, that was debunked with
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. But
hey,
yeah.
He'll come back with an army from the unknown regions. There we go. He goes to
How
an
many
unknown
times
region.
Ben, let's talk. How many times are they going to do that in the Star Wars universe where someone comes from the unknown regions with an army?
Every time, because that's the easiest story implement. It's like super easy to just implement something easy. Here you go. Major villain comes from the unknown regions. That's it.
Yeah.
We're good. I mean, Thrawn does, for crying out loud.
I like the Jar Jar theory. It's probably one of my more well-liked fan theories. I'm not a big fan of fan theories, especially around Star Wars, but I do like the Jar Jar one.
What if it's all some ploy that Jar Jar is performing? What if his enslavement by Palpatine and his beggar days on Naboo are all just a mind trick that he did to convince people that he was insignificant still?
That's why I said that what happens in canon doesn't disprove this theory, because the theory lays out that Jar Jar is this master of manipulation and he plays himself the fool. And so what better way to be close to Palpatine than be his personal jester?
Nobody pays attention to the Joker.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And because every other like force sensitive or person who shows power who gets close to Palpatine is put in worse enslavement in their own right.
Because, I mean, I'm obviously not an expert, but I imagine that like force users have resistance, but they're not completely immune to like mind tricks, are they?
It's not conclusive on what that happens
Yeah.
because like their Jedi's mind, force user's mind can become clouded. Like, so Palpatine uses the dark side of the force and a like basically Sith altar that's underneath the Jedi temple to mask his presence from the Jedi. So it's not to say that another strong force Sith or force user could do the same thing. And Jedi can mask their presence too in like hiding out, which is, especially if you go somewhere that is like a strong nexus of the force, you kind of like blend into the background, which is why
Obi-Wan,
Yoda
Tatooine,
Yoda goes to Dagobah, because Dagobah is a force nexus that he can hide in.
Yep. Or if we even go like, Old Republic, all the old Jedi Masters and KOTOR 2.
Right.
Every planet was a force nexus or a, some sort of stain in the dark side or some way or another.
But everything shows that a Jedi or a force user can resist pretty indefinitely a incursion into their mind, whether that's a subtle Jedi mind trick or like the mental extraction that the Sith do, because we watch Rey fend off Kylo with no problem and she has no training. That's just pure talent and power. That's what I'm going to go with.
We'll go with that.
I have opinions that I will not voice.
I think that's most.
Well, that might be a fan. No, kidding.
That's for the after party. That's the after party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Gosh. So I have to ask then, what's y'all's favorite fan theory, if you have one? That's not Darth Jar Jar.
I have one ready if you need to think, Ben.
Honestly, Darth Jar Jar is probably one of my favorite ones because I mean I don't really look into the fan theories of Star Wars too much. I was looking up some before the show today, and all the ones I've been seeing, they were all debunked with the sequel series.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is Starkiller base from Endor? No, it's clearly Ilum. It's an ice planet, for crying out loud.
So my favorite fan theory isn't really a fan theory per se, but it's more of a headcanon. But it's mine that Darth Vader lets Luke win in Return of the Jedi. Solely much like to solve the thing of like, how does Luke, who has 2 years of training, beat someone like Vader, who is not only like, yes, he's the shell of Anakin Skywalker and Anakin's skill, but he's still a force to be reckoned with that is not easily overpowered.
I have something funny. Darth Vader is technically the Grand Master of the Jedi Order by Return of the Jedi.
That is true.
So, because he was the only one on the council that still survived. Everybody else is dead. So therefore, by default, he's Grand Master of the Jedi Council.
Correct. But my theory is that from the moment that Vader realizes that Luke is alive and that Padme's children lived, that he turns at that moment. He's always trying to overthrow Palpatine because that's the way of the Sith. That's the rule of two. The apprentice always seeks to overthrow the master. But it's at that moment that he learns that his child is alive, that he is able to start to turn from the dark side. And my theory is that he can't harm Luke. He lets Luke win, not because he's like his son or he believes in the light, but because when he looks at Luke, he sees Padme and he sees his option to make something better than himself, than his past choices. His moment of redemption is to help Luke and go with Luke when
and it's also why he didn't. It's also why he didn't like outright kill Leia. You know, I mean, she was on the ship, and he decides to just lock her up instead of taking out a political rival.
Right. And I think that Luke's speech to Vader on the Imperial Walker before they go up to the Death Star is, you should watch them side by side with Padme's speech to him in Revenge of the Sith. Because they both basically, if you kind of put them on side, there's things where they both say, "Come with me," almost happen like in really close sequence to each other. And like, "Come with me, get away from here, we can leave the Emperor." And it's an interesting like dynamic there, because to Padme, Anakin says, "We don't have to run, I'm so powerful, I can overthrow the Emperor." When Luke says, "Come with me," Vader says, "I must obey my master." And so there's that thing of like, I want to, but I can't. So I think that when Luke, and when they first clash sabers, it's not Vader protecting Palpatine. It's stopping Luke from killing Palpatine.
Yeah.
And when Vader goads Luke into attacking him by talking about Leia, it's not a sense to like goad him into turning to the dark side. It's that Anakin knows that Luke has to feel what it's like to give in to anger. Luke has to feel what it's like to feel that emotion, to be able to say, "No, this is not what I want to embrace." And it's in that moment when Vader lets him see that they both, the kinship between the robotic hands is what like turns Luke and reminds him, "No, this is not who I want to be." So yeah, that's my fan theory, headcanon.
I mean,
how a 5-year training Jedi beats a master, top of the order,
who's been
Sith
training
Lord.
For
his life,
30 some years,
40 years,
40.
Yeah.
And with how strong in the Force they always depict Vader to be. I guess more so nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But like every time you see Vader doing something, like he typically walks into a room and things just start getting crushed because his force power is so strong. So
that's why the end of Fallen Order is so terrifying.
That was a hype ending, you know it.
Oh, I know.
There's an awesome comic quote where Vader goes to a planet and he gets surrounded, and they're like yelling at him. He's like, "I'm surrounded," and Vader's response is, "I'm surrounded by fear and dead men."
Oof.
Well, is that the one where? Isn't that the comic where he meets Padme's handmaiden? Or no?
I can't remember if that's where that comes from, but that's a good comic series.
That is
Darth
a good
Vader
comic
2020
series.
Comic series if you want to learn.
That it's sick.
And supports my fan theory.
That is true. It's true. So, I get in the mid break because we are like halfway through, I think.
Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead.
All right.
All right, welcome to the middle of the show where we take time to thank our patrons. And so our patrons, Genesis and Toasty, thank you for your support. Yay. If you'd like to support us, you can find the link to our Patreon in the Discord. There are various tiers with various benefits that you can get in there. Another great way to support the show is to go to Spotify or Apple and leave us a rating or review. On Apple, you can leave us 5-star and some words, and we'll read that on a future episode of the show. Ben, we do not have a review this week.
No, we do not have this week.
Yes.
I just got it hooked up to where I can see international ones too now. So anybody, even like I know we have some listeners in the UK. If you want to put in a review, I will be able to read it now.
Yeah. If you'd like to chat with us, you can find all of us on the Robots Radio Discord, or everyone is also in the Cups Podcasting and More, which is the personal server for this podcast and the other podcasts that I host with my other host, She-Cup, the Dragon Age Lorecast, and the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. So, yeah. All right.
Well, let's get back to more fan theories or anything Star Wars at this point. All right, we're back.
There's your death scream, Toasty.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Ben, do you have a favorite theory or headcanon?
What you said lines up to what I think with like Luke and then Darth Jar Jar being one of my favorite fan theories. I don't really per se have a fan theory or a headcanon. More the fact that I really wish they would bring back more characters from Legends into canon. Work today, I was literally talking to someone about, Revan for one. Well, he's technically canon. Name alone, but still. I was talking to someone today, like, bring back Starkiller. It's like, that would be awesome. It's just they have to do it the right way.
Right.
You also have to change his backstory, like, a lot at this point.
Right. It's too, for me, Starkiller is too difficult with the Inquisitors. He can't just mesh into the Inquisitors. He's
True.
too strong.
Well,
in a lot of ways, he's too strong.
If you take the book version of him, he is actually more on par with Obi-Wan, if you take the book version. Because that is, quote-unquote, the Legends version of Starkiller, not the game version. The game version, they overpower the crap out of him because, it's a game.
Right.
But, in the book, he's actually more on par with Obi-Wan, and in the books, he follows the light side storyline from Force Unleashed, so he does die at the very end, which created the rebellion and his death. But if they bring him back, because originally, and I watched an interview with Sam Witwer, who voices Darth Maul, and he voices Palpatine later in the Clone Wars. Originally, he was going to be the Grand Inquisitor. Starkiller was going to be originally the Grand Inquisitor. But Dave Filoni's like, oh no, we're not going to do that because everybody knows him from the games, and he's stronger than Darth Vader, so why are we going to have a villain who's stronger than Vader in the first season?
Right.
So, but, I mean, they technically could bring him back. It's just, I don't think they ever will. But what we need to do is, go back to Old Republic. That's all we need. That's all we need. We need Star Wars right now.
Toasty looks like he has
I know, Toasty has...
Not opinions, just things. Just things.
Just things.
Just things. I don't want to say anything. Actually,
are they Obi-Wan spoilers?
Quite possibly. I don't know.
So I know Ben hasn't watched it. Have you watched it, Jen?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
I literally got home from work and then had 10 minutes until the show started.
That's fair.
Appreciate the leg in your background, Jen.
It's my daughter on the bed. She's not.
It just keeps popping into existence and out.
It's fine.
No, I stayed an hour late at work yesterday, so I would get overtime. Would be forced to leave an hour early today so I could get home and watch Obi-Wan with my wife before she had to go to work. Very calculated. So yes, I've seen the 2 episodes. Probably the most hype I've been for a Star Wars thing in a while. And but I guess if we're talking headcanon, I got a headcanon. I don't know how people generally feel about it. But my headcanon is that, and this is probably, I don't know, that Anakin did bring balance to the Force.
Like, you mean talk about like when at the end of Return?
No, Revenge of the Sith.
Oh.
Because so if like, obviously when I think balance, I think like equal on both sides. And there was like, with the sheer amount of Jedi that there were in like positions of power with like, I guess, what is that age? The High Republic or whatever?
Well, yeah, we have the High Republic now where there's just like hundreds. And there's a good fair amount in the Clone War era.
Yeah, okay.
It's called like, it in canon and legends, it's referred to as different things because like Tarkin refers to the Senate as a relic of the Old Republic.
That's true.
When they when they get rid of it in A New Hope, but you could say that like the Republic we see in the prequels is like the falling Republic, like it's at the end of its life.
Yeah, Republican decline. Okay, but basically there's so many of them and they're all in power, and there's only like 2 Sith just because that's how the Sith work. But at the end of it, you have Palpatine and Anakin / Vader, and then you have technically, yes, there's a bunch of them still kind of like on the run, but they're all like in decline. The only significant ones are Yoda and Obi-Wan, and then Yoda and Luke. So It's just kind of like basically 2 significant Jedi at all times at that, like, in those movies.
Right. Well, that's even true. With the survivors outside of Obi-Wan and Luke right now and Seer Junda, all the rest of them are Padawans. Even Ahsoka. True. Like, Ahsoka's at the end of her training, and like, but she's not even a Jedi technically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she doesn't walk the path of the Jedi.
And well, we'll get more of Cal Kestis later with the new game coming out next year.
Which he's a Jedi Knight.
He's a Jedi Knight at that point because he gets knighted towards the end of the first game. Yeah. But it's also during the same time as Rebels. So who to say what? Obviously something's going to happen to him, and that's kind of set in stone.
Yeah, and if you like calculate that, like all of them, like all of the Padawans are like the Jedi that survived there in decline, and then balance it with the fact that the Inquisitors are a thing, it still remains a balancing force.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Well,
I can see that.
so I typically tend to think that even though you're not supposed to think that that's a good thing because all the good people died and the bad people are in charge now, that just because the good stuff turns bad doesn't mean that that's imbalanced. So
believe it or not, George Lucas, this is one of the more clear things George Lucas has said to us. He says, and I don't think it disproves your theory, but he says when he talks about balance in Star Wars, balance of the Force, it refers to a cease of conflict between the light side and dark side, not a point of like there's equal parts light and dark, but like that they're no longer in conflict with each other. So you could argue that, like, at least at the end of Revenge of the Sith, they're not in conflict because the dark side won.
I was like, they're not. Yeah, the light side
yeah.
is no longer a thing. So
Right.
if you're talking George Lucas terms, yes.
That is true.
But it's also like it's all kinds of messed up without that, because like the whole Mortis arc just throws a whole nother wrench into the pile of like, sorry Jen, these are spoilers for Clone Wars, but if you haven't seen it, I don't know if you've seen Clone Wars or not.
She looks offended, so I think she has.
I didn't know. I don't like to assume. There were a lot of Star Wars
fans. You just
fans.
assume that she didn't see Clone Wars.
No. There are a lot of Star Wars fans, me included, who did not watch Clone Wars until much later in its time because it was for kids.
Okay. So I have not watched it, but I'm offended that you think I care about spoilers.
Oh, I guess that's...
Never mind.
You know what?
Fair.
I've tried really hard to avoid spoilers for Dragon Age for you, and I haven't done...
I know, and I know this, and I mean, this is totally in a tangent, but it's what I'm here for. Y'all do so, like, you're like, I've heard you literally say my name. I know Genesis is working through Inquisition right now, so I don't want to spoil this for her. And I was like, I have listened to your podcast since day one when it came, or like every single episode. I know what happens.
Yes, but so anyway, Anakin basically results in the death of like the personification of the Force, and so like what does that mean?
Yeah, too much. It's too heavy, honestly.
Yeah. I didn't like your point on like the Clone Wars being for kids is just like obvious. I'm not like throwing shade at that kind of ideology, like, you know, you do you, but I just generally don't like consider that something, because I've watched the entirety of Avatar: The Last Airbender multiple times, and everyone says that is a show for kids. I'm sorry, shows for kids don't address genocide in episode 3. That's just not how it works.
Or
and
murder.
The lessons you can learn from that show, yeah,
right in the beginning,
you can learn from that show apply to literally anyone. So you can call it a kids show,
that
and it may have had that intention,
everything.
but it is something that anyone can benefit from. And I consider the same thing from Clone Wars.
No, you're absolutely right. And I will say that there are very, very adult themes that exist in Clone Wars.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, they actually like straight up, like, I get it. But like generally speaking, when you think of like with how Disney-fied stuff gets or whatever, like the Clone Wars is like, they just kill people. A lot. I didn't realize just how much people die.
Clone Wars was also not owned by Disney until after it was finished.
But it's like, even if you think about it as a kids show, like they don't generally blatantly kill
true.
people that much.
But
in a
even
kids
like,
show, so.
Look at season 7. That's done by Disney,
That's true.
and
Also
that's the
has-
worst
I
one.
don't think I've
It's a Mando.
And a baby Yoda. Oh,
I
I have that Grogu doll.
can't go get my keychains. My keychain has Mando on it. My wife says Baby Yoda.
I have.
I just asked the kid to go grab a few of her Grogu's. Does this one talk?
Oh, it's the talking one?
Apparently.
It talks.
I saw that in my store. Oh gosh.
I don't have readily accessible Star Wars stuff.
I
except
have
for,
a
like, two
bunch of
things,
stuff sitting in front of
unfortunately.
me. Like, I have my droid, my lightsaber. I have holocrons.
So,
I have this. All my other ones are on another wall, but
I think I'll just sit here like this for the rest of the show.
I
Just
really
have
like
Grogu
your
be
School of
joining
the Wolf
us.
flag, though.
all I got is a Lego Millennium Falcon that's very tiny and Qui-Gon Jinn pop because my wife said that I look like him. That was back when I had brown hair, so I actually it kind of.
I could see that,
I'll-
actually.
I'll tell you
Ooh.
this. Toasty, she Cup today said she thinks Ben looks like the actor who plays Uncle Owen.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Holy Wilhelm scream!
This is what happens to me.
Here, we'll do this. Who's your favorite character? If you had to pick one.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll
That
let you
is so difficult.
Pick one from each trilogy. You can ignore the sequels if you want.
I often do. No. I want Ben to answer first, just because I want to.
Specifically from the
I don't
movies
think-
or any character?
Any character.
By far, Darth Revan. Revan in general, he is. I know that's a lot of fan favorites, but like playing the old games, old KOTOR games, and like reading the books, and like seeing what they do with him now in the Old Republic MMO, his character development and his story just never ends, and it's just fantastic to see. And he's such a fan favorite that I'm more than likely going to bring him back anyway, so.
See, I'm not a huge versed Star Wars fan, so like I know of Darth Revan, but basically all the information I have on Darth Revan is from y'all. So like I haven't looked him up at all. I just know that he looks like a complete badass with one red and one purple, and it's like, well, I mean, that's cool. That's all I got. Like,
Summary up, he was a Jedi who was then turned to the dark side, ran his own Sith Empire, got defeated by another Jedi, the Jedi erased his memory, he became a Jedi again, destroyed the Sith, and married the Jedi who defeated him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Yes,
whole giant thing. It's epic.
I don't know if KOTOR's on your list, Jen, but there are romances.
Oh, that's true.
Yes,
That
no,
is true.
KOTOR is on the list big time because it is one of the very first video games that you actually get to pick who you romance. So it is on the list for sure.
Thank God, BioWare.
And
unfortunately,
SWTOR is too.
it's slated for 2024. No, I don't actually know.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Will we
They
get
have
to
up
Dragon Age 2
2025
before
planned.
KOTOR?
It's crazy.
Yes. DA2 comes before KOTOR. But SWTOR is on the list too,
Yes.
because I remember who I romanced in SWTOR. In fact, when I got back on my ship the other day, I was like, I forgot I had a husband in this game. Oh shit. So sad.
Oh no, she did it again. I don't know. I think personally, I'm a real big fan of Ahsoka.
I would have to say she has the best character development in all of canon. Her character development is great.
I just, yeah. And like obviously with Mandalorian, and that was an unfortunate thing because my wife didn't quite understand some of the things that they did for the Mandalorian that are just like all of like the Star Wars fans who understand were like, oh, but no, that was one of the most exciting episodes for me for Mandalorian. And so I was like, oh my God, they're gonna have Ahsoka.
Yeah, watching it with my dad is like, it's fun watching it with my dad, but he has he's in his later years. He doesn't watch animation stuff, so he's like, who's that? It's like, obviously she's a Jedi, but like technically she's not. And it's like, what the hell? Like, what? It's like, ask me all these questions. It's like, what is all this going on? It's like, oh, is this?
Right, we explained Ahsoka to my mom before the season 2 of Mando came out because our dog's name is Snips, obviously, after Ahsoka. And so we had to explain to her how it was a Star Wars reference.
I had a coworker that I called Snips. I had to train her, and so it was just like, you are Snips now. She didn't understand it at all, and I was like, just shut up. It brings me joy.
I'm going to be a stereotype, and my favorite character overall is Luke. And I know that's basic as whatever, but I stand by it. And particularly...
Basic as Sith.
Yes.
Basic as Force.
There you go. That's a good F word.
Basic as Force. Yes. And so I really like Luke. I think that I like his view on the Jedi. I've read a lot in the post Return of the Jedi canon, and Luke gets just a lot more, or post Return of the Jedi Legends, not canon. And Luke just gets more development in there. But my favorite Luke quote actually comes from Battlefront 2, in the mission where you play as Luke, where he talks to the Imperial person. And he says, he's basically talking to this Empire person who's having doubts. And Luke says, you always have a choice. And the guy's like, oh, what? Choose the rebellion? And Luke says, no, a choice to be better. Which I think is just really sums up his character and where he is. It's one of my favorite Star Wars quotes of all time.
That mission itself was awesome. Yeah. It's just like you walk in as random Empire person number 47, and then it's just like, oh, I have to go through this entire thing with Luke Skywalker. Awesome.
No matter how bad the animation of his character model is.
Story is all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters. That's all really. Jin.
I know, and I'm gonna join Teacup on the basic as Force list because I really think Leia's my favorite. As a kid, she was a frickin' idol, man. Not only, one, her hair was always awesome, but there's always something really meaningful to me when a woman can progress and then have children and her story doesn't end there. So whether it's in the books or in the movies, Leia is always a mother, and there's no other word besides badassery doesn't stop there. She continues to go on. She becomes an extremely powerful, like a force sensitive in some lores and of powerful force users in other. But why are you hiding from me, Toasty?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Just, Jen, my only recommendation to you is have tissues when you watch Kenobi.
Oh, no.
Why?
I mean, in a good way. In a good way. In a good way.
Oh.
Tears of joy? Okay.
Oh,
yes.
I was like,
and like
wait.
meaningfulness.
Okay.
Okay.
No, they.
I was about to say, it's like, what? I'm gonna cry already? It's only the first
I mean, you
two.
will cry. You will cry. It
Okay.
hits you in the gut
Oh,
right away.
God.
So
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's fair. I didn't cry, but I'm an emotionless bastard, so. Oh, it's true. It's fine.
I cry enough for the both of us. I cry enough for the both of us.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah,
So
I think watching Leia evolve over. I mean, I read the movies. I saw the movies as a kid, and watching her grow up and watching everything that she evolves to, and then as an adult watching her in the final movie, number 9, whatever it is. It's just like, that's who I am, and that's who. I don't know. I see a lot of parallels and a lot of.
You should
It's
see
just
her
awesome.
in Legends. Like, if you like her a lot in the canon of the movies, her in Legends, holy crap. She's a constant using her lightsaber. It's great. Decimating everything.
if you want something canon that I think is one of the best books of the new canon books, read Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
Ooh.
It's set before the original trilogy, and it just gives you a lot of insight into what's going on before Leia. We see her in A New Hope. It's one of my better books that I have read from the new canon. Probably up there with the Padme trilogy and Master and Apprentice from the Obi-Wan.
I just got done finishing all the High Republic stuff finally, and I just started Brotherhood. So far so good, but I'm only like in 30 minutes of that book. So we shall see.
Leia, Princess of Alderaan. You'll love it, Jen.
Okay.
I should start throwing Star Wars books on my audiobook list.
Yeah. Also, Padme ranks up pretty high for me too, and not just because I had a crush on Natalie Portman.
Didn't we all?
Star Wars, Marvel. I mean,
I thought I was over it, and then I saw the trailers for Thor: Love and Thunder, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't know, maybe it's not gone.
yeah.
Okay.
A core childhood memory has just unlocked.
Oh no!
All right.
Don't
No,
voice
we're
it,
good.
Jen. It's not. No.
No.
So I have a question.
Okay.
It's a speed round. Don't elaborate. Just answer.
Is it like a gut thing? So don't think about it either.
Well, you can think about it, but just don't take too long. Here I am demanding things on your podcast. Well, it's me. Who would have expected any different?
That's true.
If you could be one, I'm gonna say species, from Star Wars, what would you be?
I'm
my
a
two
creature of the
answers.
water, so my first response, I don't know, but it was a Gungan, just because I think mermaids were my favorite as a kid, and being able to do the acrobatics underwater would be freaking awesome. I don't know if I've seen a whole lot of underwater acrobats like that.
Nautilins.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Nautilins
Nautilins
also-
are good.
I feel that one a bit more.
My gut told me Twi'lek, but I have no idea why. Maybe I want the sex appeal. I don't know. I guess whatever.
Personally, I would probably go
Jen
with.
is uncomfortable.
I mean, I was not gonna lie, not trying to hit on you or anything, of course. But I've been like, every time the camera goes to you, I'm just staring directly at your eyes because I've not interacted with you before, and your eyes are gorgeous. I just like to point that out. I have not really talked to you before, but I was just like, whoa, I can't look away. So.
Thank you. Cool. But anyway, no, I do think that Twi'leks are cool. And they're like one of the first aliens we see in Star Wars. So
Aren't they? They're the ones with the big blue thing that like wraps around their neck, right?
No,
they're not the ones that wrap around the neck.
No, they're...
Well, they can wrap around your neck.
But they're the two with the tendrils, from just two tendrils from their head going down.
So
let's talk to you about how that's one of the species with head tails, and there's like 17 and a half.
Well, Star Wars anatomy time. If they come down like this, they're called leku, which both Twi'leks and Tortuga have. If they come up out of your hair like this, they're called like...
Did you say Tortuga?
Did you say Tortuga? You mean Togrutas?
Togrutas, whatever.
You said Tortugas from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Y'all, like, go listen to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast, and you will understand that I cannot pronounce anything.
It's okay.
All right, Ben, hit us.
Zabrak.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, Zabrak's a good one.
Tan, not the red, not like Maul's coloring, but like Sava's coloring.
Okay. I appreciate that answer.
Toasty.
My runner-up choice is Lerman. Just because.
Are those the like
the lemurs?
People?
Yes.
Okay.
And they roll out like droidicas, and it's incredible.
The ones who are like, we don't want to fight, and then, we're gonna fight anyway.
Look, I'm just saying that was a lot of growth for a whole entire civilization in 2 episodes. Okay.
Fair point.
That's true.
But my top answer is I don't know, is this Dathomirian or Darthmirian? Dathomirian. Which I guess similar to Zabrak, but
yes. Different planet of origin, I think, is the difference. So Zabraks
I know they're usually closely related, though.
Yeah,
they
Zabraks are from Iridonia. So Zabrak, Iridonian are kind of similar, interchangeable terms. And then what you would call like a Night Brother, what Maul is and what Savage Opress is, those are technically from Dathomir.
Oh, well, I specifically picked Dathomirian female.
Like Mother Talzin or like Asajj?
Mother Talzin, probably.
Oh, you don't want to shave your hair to be bald like Asajj?
No.
What about
I like the Night Sisters are just so cool.
What about what's her name from Fallen Order?
Oh,
Marin.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
The last surviving.
Yeah, that was like kind of, I guess, because I don't remember quite as much from Clone Wars, but it's definitely like Fallen Order is still fresh in my memory. So, but yeah.
Do you want to be able? Do you want the powers too? So you want to be like to raise all your fallen brethren and sisters from the dead?
Absolutely. what kind of question is that?
Just okay. You know.
So I just posted in the Patreon chat of the Cups Discord server the reason of my immediate reaction to Teacup saying that he wanted to be a Twi'lek, because that is the most recent image I have seen of one. So that's what popped into my head when you said that. And so I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I guess the male Twi'leks do have like where it kind of comes
depends.
Around typically, because they have like, it seems like they have like fatter head tails. Right. So I don't know.
Unless you're on
like it's interesting.
There's not many on Ryloth.
I guess the younger Twi'leks we see in Clone Wars, they do have shorter leku. Like they're not, so they do grow like normal appendages in hair, I guess. I don't know.
No, I don't think they grow hair.
Yeah.
No. But that was my question. I'm good. I'm satisfied.
Well, that's good. Well, I think that's...
Sith, Jedi, Rebellion.
Ooh. Wait, what?
That's an obvious answer on my part.
D, Mandalorian.
Ooh.
Ooh.
E, Grey Knight.
That's me.
I'm a
Let's see,
Jedi.
Grey Knight. Grey Jedi. Come on.
Grey Jedi, whatever.
Which...
But that implies allegiances. I don't want to have allegiances.
Fine, be a Grey Sith.
Oh, fair enough. That still implies allegiances, but okay.
I mean, if you want to talk about no allegiance or anything, if you read the High Republic novels, they're a part of the Jedi Order. They're called Way Seekers, and they're literally Jedi from the Order who leave and do their own thing. But they're still part of the Order, but they don't talk to the Order whatsoever. It's a very interesting concept.
Honestly, just be a Mandalorian Jedi.
Even
though there's only ever been one in existence.
I have not heard about that, but okay.
That's where they get the Darksaber.
Oh.
Are you going to be Grogu? Is that who you're going to be?
Baby
Whatever
Yoda.
species, whatever he is.
The worst mistake Mandalorian did was naming that thing. It's a Baby Yoda. And
He
that's
never
what everyone
named
made.
it, though.
All right.
No,
I have.
They gave it a name because it had a name.
Well, yeah.
I have one little more fun fact to go, and then we can wrap up the show for the night. As a kid, my mom bought me a little Yoda, because it was a Yoda at that time. You pressed his hand, and he gave you little prophecies. Basically, everything that you would hear from a magic 8-ball came out of Yoda's mouth, but in like the way that Yoda would phrase it. Again, later you shall try. But I didn't like the fact that Yoda was a boy. So I painted his nails candy apple red, painted his little toenails a beautiful purple, gave him eyeshadow, eyeliner, the whole shebang. So I have a Yodina.
Yodina.
Well, we do
Yodina still exists and is on a shelf in my childhood bedroom.
That's awesome. There's also
I feel
Yaddle. We do have Yaddle, technically.
Jen doesn't care about that.
No.
Nope.
No one. I mean, not many people do care about Yaddle. She's in one scene of Phantom Menace, and funny enough, they've actually used her in the High Republic stuff recently. And for like maybe a page of dialogue. That's it.
Have they named Yoda's species?
No, it's just called a Yoda.
Pretty much.
It's so interesting.
I'm not even kidding.
They haven't named it at all in over 40 years.
When she first got into Star Wars, she would say the species by the character that she associated with it. So Rhodians were a Greedo. He's a Greedo. Or
me too, Sheikah, me too.
Yeah. Or he's a Plo Koon. Or I guess you do say Twi'lek.
But yeah, I think we're pretty good on this episode, I think.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
Yes. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at swholohistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com. And thank you for everybody who is listening or watching in live chat. It is always fun to see these comments, even though it's mostly She-Cup, which is still great.
I think it's us and She-Cup. If I had
it's still
to guess.
great though.
Also, if you are any listeners, if you need another podcast to listen to get you through this evening, later tonight will be Genesis's podcast, The Two Girls, One Ship, at
In about an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, hour 15
That's
minutes,
so
which
good.
is 9:30 Central Time, so 7:30 Pacific, and 10:30 Eastern. Yeah. You'll see some familiar faces. You'll trade me for my better half.
There you go.
I get a she cup. Come on and talk about which video game character you wish was romanceable.
Ooh. All right.
Well, I will be stopping the stream. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.